Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another webinar on behalf of Associates Solutions. My name is Rowen Sears. I'm your marketing manager, and today's webinar is all about Microsoft Dynamics 365. I'm sure you see that the webinar title is What's New with Dynamics 365, and to be honest with you, it's all new. So that is why we have brought you this webinar today. Just a reminder that this will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/associatesolutionsKC. Let's do some quick housekeeping. Please mute your microphones. If you do have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to put them in the chat box. I'll be monitoring that. And we will have a question and answer portion at the end of the webinar. So I'm super excited to have our wonderful account manager, Helen Jones, here with us today. And Helen is going to walk us through all you need to know about Dynamics 365 for financials. So let's go ahead and turn it on over to Helen.
Thanks, Rowen. That was a great introduction. I'm going to start with the agenda of what we're going to talk about today. First of all, I would like to make sure at least a few people there or everybody go ahead and type into the chat window that you can see my screen. You should see a screen that says agenda with a number of line items on it. So I just want to make sure everybody can see my screen before I get started.
Okay, yeah, we can see.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so what we're going to talk about today, I'm just going to go down through this agenda really quickly. There are different versions of Dynamics 365. It's actually, Dynamics 365 is a generic term for a product family, and we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. We'll talk about navigation and how Microsoft created Dynamics 365. That it can work with other products very easily. It makes friends and talks to other Microsoft products very, very easily. I've had some conversations with current clients about a concern that Dynamics 365 is such a new product because it was just released in November of 2016. So we'll kind of talk about that for a minute. We'll talk about where Dynamics 365 actually resides at. Where does it live? We'll talk about reporting capabilities of Dynamics 365, and we'll also talk about the really meat of this webinar is what are some of the advantages or limitations of Dynamics 365 for financials. And then we'll take a quick peek at the modules. The goal of today's webinar is that I really want to answer the question that people might have, is Dynamics 365 for financials a possible fit for my company? That's really what I want to address today. We're not specifically doing a demo showing you how to move around in it and you know, how do you get to purchasing or how do you run a report. This isn't really a demo webinar today. We're really talking about what Dynamics 365 is and what it's capable of doing and if it is a good fit for your company's needs. So I just kind of wanted to make that clear in the beginning that this is more of a discussion webinar rather than a demo webinar. We'd love to do a demo webinar for you specifically, but this one is more of a very high-level overview of Dynamics 365 for financials. So first we're going to talk about the different versions of Dynamics 365. I think this is really important because a lot of us go out there and do some research trying to get information on our own, and I even do it. You know, I go out there and I'll do searches in Google and look for different things. And in talking to clients and even, like I said, doing research on my own, if you go out there and Google Dynamics 365, just that term, it's pretty much a wild card of what you're going to get in your search results because Dynamics 365 is really a product family. You have Dynamics 365 for operations, which is really created and built for medium to larger size businesses. So these are going to be really more 200, 250 and up employees or users. So this is really for a much larger company that has more complex needs. Dynamics 365 for financials. So I think I have even Googled that term specifically, Dynamics 365 for financials, and still got some results come back of some of the other products. So Dynamics 365 for financials is a product that was built for smaller to medium-sized businesses. So more often, financials is going to be set up for a company that has maybe 3 to 5, up to 12, all the way up to, I mean, it would be a good fit even for a company that maybe had 50 user need. But it is really built for the smaller company that has those smaller ERP needs. Talent, you see up there in the top right-hand corner, and retail, which is in the bottom left-hand corner. Those are the two newest products that Microsoft just came out with in the last couple of months. They actually do work with operations. Really not so much for financials. They work with the operations product. In that middle line, you have sales, marketing, and customer services. Those all come from the Dynamics CRM line. So Dynamics 365 for sales, Dynamics 365 for marketing, Dynamics 365 for customer services. These are all three from the CRM product. You had CRM 2016 was the last one that was made available. And you also had CRM Online, which lived on a Microsoft server. Both of those have been combined into the Dynamics 365 for sales, marketing, customer service. And you'll see in your search terms, if you're looking for it, sales and marketing a lot of times come up very, very often because they've been out there a little bit longer than the other Dynamics 365 products. Field services down on the bottom and project services, both of those work with the sales, marketing, and customer service. So those are products that also work with the CRM family. So as you can see, there are a number of different products that actually reside underneath the Dynamics 365 umbrella. So the thing that I really want to bring home here is just pay close attention when you're doing any research or when you're talking to somebody, which of the products you're actually talking about. So just make sure if you're looking at financials, which is what we're going to be focusing on in this webinar, that that's truly the product that you're looking at or talking about. Okay? So next we will talk about how Dynamics 365 for financials was built by Microsoft. It was built to be very familiar. It has the ribbon across the top like you would see in Outlook, Word, or Excel, or any of those other Microsoft products. So it has that ribbon, and then very similar to the way GP and SL and the other ERP products were set up, you also have a navigation bar down the left-hand side as well. So they did this to make it look very familiar and make training and adoption for using the product very simple and very easy. So it will be familiar to you when you open it up and look at it. Okay. Not only does it look familiar, Dynamics 365 also integrates with all other Microsoft products. So you don't have to store data in separate systems that don't work together. They all talk to each other. You don't have to exit or enter separate programs to get your work done. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at an example now. Here you can see there's financial management, purchasing over on the right-hand side, project management, inventory management, sales. These are all modules that are built into Dynamics 365 for financials. And an example, let's say that you get an email from a customer and they say that we want to order 5 widgets. So you can within Outlook, you can create that invoice or that sales order within Outlook and send it right back out. So you can create it from a Word template. You can pull the inventory information straight from financials, and you can email it out to your customer inside Outlook. So you don't have to leave your email program to go into financials to create the invoice and then go back into Outlook to actually email it to them. You can do it all right within the same product because they're so tightly integrated. And then if you're using an app that can process payments for PayPal, and we'll talk about apps here in just a minute, you could actually have a link in that email with the invoice attached that goes to your customer. They click on the link, they make the payment in PayPal, it comes straight to you, goes back into Dynamics 365 for financials, and is ready for reconciliation. So they set it up to be an entire seamless process. So you don't have to keep logging out of this and logging into this and logging into that. So you can just do it all in one place. Makes it really, really easy. So like I said, Dynamics 365 for financials, and the other products are too, are new and improving all the time. One of the concerns that I've had from people that I've talked to is, but Dynamics 365 was just released by Microsoft in November of 2016. It's not that, it's only a few months old. And just like going out and getting a new phone, I don't want to get the latest and greatest because I know there's bugs in it. But I would like to say that Dynamics 365 was actually built off of the Dynamics Nav platform. So it was built with the same basic functionalities of Nav. So it was built on an existing and long-standing product that already existed. They're just offering it to you in a different way. They're offering it to you on the Microsoft servers. So it's really, while it is a brand new product, it was built on something that was already proven and used for many years. And again, Microsoft is developing, and just literally every single month we're seeing something that they have added to it or a new functionality that is available in the product now. And Microsoft is telling us that by the end of this year, first part of next year, the first part of 2018, their goal is to have Dynamics 365 for financials be able to have all the capabilities that Nav had previously. So, I mean, they're setting goals for themselves about how much functionality they plan to have into it even by the end of this year. Now we'll talk about kind of where it lives and how you can access it. The product will actually reside on Microsoft servers, which is called Azure. So it will be on their servers. It is browser and device agnostic. So you can use it on any device. You can use it in any browser. There's no limit. There used to be limitations on that, but there aren't anymore. As long as you have an internet connection, you can get to the product. Now, and I understand that most of us are not going to sit there and bang out AP invoices on our iPad. That's not something we would typically do. But where it really comes in handy is if you're out and about, I don't know, maybe at a Little League baseball game, and you happen to, the thought happens to pop in your head, wait a minute, customer XYZ said that they were going to send me a payment 2 or 3 days ago. I wonder if we ever got it. You could just pop open Dynamics 365 for financials on your iPad or on your phone, go in there, look up the customer record, and see if that payment was received. Really, really easy, and you have your answer right then and there. So simple inquiries, little reports that you might want to get some information from, make it really easy to get it no matter where you are, what you're doing, as long as you have an internet connection. And like I said, it works on iOS platforms, it works on Android, desktop, laptop, tablets, smartphones, pretty much anywhere. A little bit ago I talked about apps, and Dynamics 365, because it lives on Microsoft's cloud, it's pretty much made to work exactly the way it is. So while there's a little bit of customization you can do here and there on the reports and on screens, not a whole lot, it's pretty much built to just work the way it came out of the box. The way they made it to extend its capabilities is to use apps. So Microsoft has an app store, where you can go out there and look at different apps that can do different things with each of your products. And this app store is not new. It's been out there for the Office 365 products as well. So those apps integrate straight into Dynamics 365 for Financials. And actually, Dynamics 365 for Financials is actually an app. And it lives in the Office 365 portal.
Now, Helen, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Do I need an Office 365 subscription in order to access the Office 365 portal?
You don't. That's the cool thing about it. You don't have to have an Office 365 subscription. So I know, I'm sure that most of us are familiar with Office 365. And if you can view that as literally a portal to access the apps that you have purchased or are paying a subscription for, okay? So if you did have an Office 365 subscription, you log into your portal and you have all the apps there that you have paid for, that suite of apps. And Office 365 or Dynamics 365 would just be an additional app there available for you to use. If you don't have an Office 365 subscription, then Dynamics 365 would be the only app sitting in that portal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that you have a portal, you just don't have any of the other apps that go with a suite that you may be paying for. Next, we're going to look at reporting capabilities, and there's a few different ones. There are financial reports available in Dynamics 365 for Financials. They have already built out income statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements. Your typical financial reports that you would usually do are already built into Dynamics 365 for Financials. I believe that there is a little bit of customization that you can do with those reports, but really not a whole lot. There are the reports that are available in each of the modules, so that when you go into sales, there are sales reports there that you can access. When you go into payables, there are payable reports that you can access there. But again, the reports that are there are pretty much, not completely, but pretty much the reports that you get. One way that you can expand the reporting capabilities of Dynamics 365 for Financials is to use another Microsoft product called Microsoft Power BI, which is a business intelligence tool. It's a dashboarding product where you can create visualizations and graphical presentations for your data. And Power BI actually integrates with Dynamics 365 for Financials seamlessly. It was literally created to be able to work together. And we actually have another webinar where we showed how to set up Power BI with Dynamics 365. And I believe that's out on our YouTube channel too, isn't it, Rowen?
It is.
Okay, great. So if you wanted to see what that looks like and the things that you can do, I would encourage you to go out and look at that video out there. I think it's pretty short as well.
Yes, it is.
So Power BI is another option that you could use. Another really, really cool thing that I have seen in Dynamics 365 for Financials is Cortana is built in. I don't know if you're familiar with Cortana, but she's another artificial intelligence, just like Siri for Apple or Google Assistant that shows up on most Samsung phones. So Cortana is Microsoft's artificial intelligence, and she is built into Dynamics 365 for Financials. And one of the really cool places, and there, like again, there are videos out there already where people are talking about it. If you're in the inventory module, for example, so in inventory, where it's keeping track of what inventory you have on hand, Cortana can actually go back and look at historical sales. So she'll go back and look at last month's or the last 2 months to see what sales were for, again, let's say widget ABC, right? She'll go back and look at historical sales. She will look at how much inventory you have on hand, and then she can actually predict and tell you what you need to order from the vendor in order to not run out.
Now, Helen, I have one more quick question for you.
Okay.
In case if I am forecasting a maybe larger sales period, can I amend Cortana to adjust the number of widgets that I may need to order?
Yes, yes. So she can create, in doing this predictive process that she can do, she will suggest, you'll actually get a notification up at the top of the product where Cortana is saying, in order to not run out of this product, I would suggest that we create a purchase order for 10 widgets. Well, if you as the owner or the salesperson know that you have a big order coming in for that particular product, and you say, well, 10's not going to be enough. I know I'm probably going to need to order 20 this month. You can just open up that purchase order and change it to 20 rather than 10. And then again, you can just email it straight off to that vendor and place that order for 20 widgets. So she's almost like an assistant built into Dynamics 365 for financials. She's really pretty cool. Here we have somebody, testimonial about somebody who's moved on to Dynamics 365 for financials, operational in a few hours with full access from anywhere at a very affordable cost. And these are 3 of the biggest advantages of Dynamics 365 for financials. It's a quick setup. Again, you can literally access it from anywhere with an internet connection. And it is fairly affordable to get started in Dynamics 365 for financials. The next thing we'll look at is some of the advantages or limitations to, and this is again very specific to Dynamics 365 for financials, not operations, not sales or marketing, just the financials piece. Some of the advantages, like we've looked at today, some of the integration with other products, integration with apps, the integration capabilities are really awesome, the way they have got it set up. Because you're on Microsoft servers, the Azure servers, you're always going to be on the newest version of the program. So each time they come out with a new development, they will roll it out to the customers that are on that product. So you will always have the newest and greatest. Because this is a subscription service, there is no annual maintenance, so that goes away. It's just part of your monthly fee. Again, the cost is very reasonable. Monthly development, they're always making it better every single month, and it is a very easy setup. Now, some of the limitations that we're seeing right now, we do expect some of these limitations to be resolved over time. Not all of them, but some of them. But currently right now, some of the limitations are that there is no manufacturing capabilities within Dynamics 365 for financials. I do believe that operations has the ability to do manufacturing, but financials does not right now. Payroll is another one that has not been built into Dynamics 365 for financials. There is a third-party app out there that works very well with Dynamics 365 for financials for payroll processing, but it's not built into the system right now. No customization. You have to use apps in order to extend the product. And it's not that there's no customizations. I really should say there's limited customizations. And again, with the reporting, you may have to look at some other products like Power BI in order to really get down to the detailed information that you might want. So if you need very specific, very particularly laid out reports, we may need to look at either a different product or a product to work with it to get that information the way you need it. And the last one, really, you do have the capability to do multi-company. You can do more than one company in Dynamics 365 for financials. However, you cannot do intercompany. So you cannot share transactions between those companies. You would have to log into company A, do your transaction, log out. Log into company B, do your transactions, log out, etc. So it keeps, right now, it keeps them very, very separate companies, but you can have separate companies if you need to. All right, we're just about finished up. We're getting to the end. If you have any questions, please make sure to go ahead and put them in that chat box so that we can get them answered for you. I do hope that this has helped you kind of understand the Dynamics 365 product family, and specifically Dynamics 365 for financials. I hope this has kind of cleared up some of the confusion about what it is and what it can and can't do. So now we're going to go ahead and look at some of the modules. These are the modules that are available in Dynamics 365 for financials. As you can see, we have your general accounts receivables, accounts payables. There's actually a electronic feed for your bank reconciliation that you can set up that automatically brings in your bank transactions for you to reconcile them, which is kind of cool. It does do fixed assets. You can see there on the sales, you can keep track of your customers and quotes and sales, and you go on down to purchase orders. It does, if you're a distribution company, it does handle inventory really well with inventory control, and I kind of referred to forecasting there a little bit. There is a very, very light project management that is part of it right now that lets you can do budgets and estimating, and not just specifically for projects. You can do budgets in Dynamics 365 for financials, but there is a very light job costing module that is available in there if you need to use that. So that's kind of my high-level overview of Dynamics 365 for financials. If this looks to you, now that you went through this webinar and kind of learned a little bit about it, if it looks like it'd be a good fit for you, the next step is really to set up a meeting and really understand what your needs are, as far as there's different types of users, which is exactly why I haven't specifically said what the costs are, because it really depends on what users you want to have. Of course, implementation and getting it set up for you, a lot of it depends on how much of it you're going to do, how much you want us to do, how much historical, I mean, there's a lot of variables in what it would cost to actually move you over to Dynamics 365. But I can tell you that it's going to be a lot less than buying into a NAV product or a GP product. It's very, very reasonable. So we would need to sit down and talk to you exactly about what your needs are and what kind of users you would need and all that kind of stuff. Then the next step would be to set up an actual demo so that we could show you the pieces and parts that you would be using and how they would work. And then after that, once we've had a meeting and talked about it, once you've seen a demo and saw exactly what it is that it does and how it would help you, then we have the ability to set you up on a 30-day free trial. So that would be the next step. So that's kind of what we would go through to get you set up on that. Rowen, did we have any questions come through?
We do have some questions that have come through, and it looks like we've piqued some people's interest as well.
Awesome.
So one question is there something like collection management in GP available for Dynamics 365 for financials?
As far as, and I know the collection management third-party piece, I'm familiar with that one. And I can say that it's not built into Dynamics 365 for financials. And as I have been talking to those third-party vendors where we get products like that, that's one of the questions that I always ask them is, have you yet created an app that will work for Dynamics 365? And very, very slowly, all of those third-party vendors are starting to get on board. I do not believe that the vendor that creates collection management, I don't think they have yet come out with an app for Dynamics 365. So I believe the answer to that question would be not yet. I will be interested to see if Microsoft builds out something within the product, and if they don't, obviously we'll be looking at those third-party vendors to come up with those apps for us, because I know that's an important piece for a lot of people.
All right. And do we have any more questions, everyone? Go ahead and type them up.
I mean, I'd even be interested to know if the folks on the webinar found this information helpful. Because I know a lot of people out there are doing demos and opening up the product and showing what it looks like and kind of getting down into how it works.
Yeah, we've got some feedback. Very, very helpful. So.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad. Great. I'm glad. That's what I was hoping for.
All right. Any more questions before we wrap up?
No, we can wait.
No, we can wait a couple moments.
Yeah. And if you decide offline that you would like to ask a question and try to get some more information, even before a meeting with ASI, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to answer any, because I know people are really curious about this product and is it even a possibility for them. And that was one of the things I was hoping to do with this webinar. But if you have questions that you want to ask offline, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to help.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Helen, for taking this time out. And I know that you're very, very busy, so we really appreciate you explaining all that we need to know about Dynamics 365 for financials. So just a quick reminder, everyone, a recording of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/associatesolutionsKC. So be on the lookout for that in the next day. Please keep checking our website, associates-solutions.com. Follow us on social media for updates and developments with Dynamics 365 for financials, as well as other Dynamics financial products. So with that being said, I think that we are done here. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today.